What would you do if you were a puppy dancing around in a meadow, living? You're like, damn it, Jason. It's a story about a dog dying. The happiest puppy ever. Imagine you're just frolicking through the beautiful world that nature has provided to you. But then things take a dark turn. Or do they? They do, actually. They do. But it's an uplifting story. Trust me. You'll want to stick around for it. And then we take a look at the story of a man driving home one night. He just wants to get home, kick back, and relax. Instead, he's about to witness a cosmic calamity, which may change the future of this entire planet. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio.
Actually, I'm a lot freaked out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing. We got an action-packed episode for you today, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command, let's give a shout out to our newest Patreon supporter. Everyone get on your feet and give it up for Allison Osborne. Woohoo! Yeah, yeah, she's running on in. She's doing a little dance. She's dancing around for us. Allison, thank you so much for supporting the show. That is why you are going to be our captain, our pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially through the Patreon or the merch store, I totally understand, I really do. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. Now, I'm going to give you guys a heads up before we get started on this first story. I'm a little distracted right now. I'm distracted, so if I start to wander off mentally, or if I start to moan out loud in pain, I don't edit it out, me yelling. I just went into the bathroom, and I think I have a cavity. I think that I have a huge cavity on one of my teeth. Now, here's the thing. It's possibly a cavity. Like, does this have anything to do with ghosts or aliens, or are you just being a crybaby? I just found out about it. I'm sitting down to record this episode. This is the last live episode we're doing, so I have to record it right now. I don't get to put it off. I have a big cavity, I think, because it's possible that I have this massive cavity that I never noticed before, or I ate a bunch of bison beef jerky yesterday that I bought at the farmer's market, and I always chew my beef jerky on the left side of my mouth, and then the jerky gets stuck in my teeth, and then I spend the next hour getting it out with floss. It's this weird thing that I do. I'm not even hungry. I was like, oh, I can't wait to get stuff stuck in my teeth. Pulled pork, here I come. It's this weird thing I do. I always get stuff stuck in my teeth back there, and then I spend the next hour fishing it out with dental floss and toothpick and stuff like that. So it's probably like, Jason, wow, you definitely have a cavity. I'm surprised you still have a tooth back there. It's possible that it's stained by bison beef jerky, because I ate a lot yesterday. It's possible that I have a huge cavity. The thing is that I look at my teeth pretty regularly, and I didn't notice it before. But here's the thing. Either way, it hurts. Either way, it hurts right now. It's either because I have a massive cavity or because I had dental floss, and I was flossing it. Because what I would do is I would... This is the most disgusting episode ever. I'd eat a piece of bison beef jerky and get it all nice and stuffed in between my teeth. And then once it's all packed in, it almost sounds like a fetish, now the way I'm describing it. I'm all sweaty. I'm like, ooh, no one's around. Time to eat some beef jerky. I eat the beef jerky, it gets stuck in between my two back teeth, and then I take floss, and then I floss it out. But I'm not done. Then I go and I grab another piece of beef jerky, eat it, get it all crammed in between those back two teeth, and then I floss it out. And then I eat another piece of beef jerky. And this goes on and on, repeated for probably about an hour. Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, that was fun. And then last night I did have a pulled pork burrito for dinner, so then it got all stuffed. Got a bunch of... I'm all leaning back in my chair at the restaurant. I was like, oh, yes, this is so orgasmic. They're like, sir, can you leave? Not until you bring me more pulled pork. I got a bunch of pulled pork stuffed in there, but I didn't have a toothpick. I didn't have any floss. So then you know it's not a fetish. See, if I had my own little kit ready to go, you'd be like, oh, this guy's a weirdo. No, I didn't have my floss or nothing on me, but I had all this pulled pork stuff stuck in between my 2 back teeth. So I pulled out my pocket knife and I took a straw and I cut the straw in half. And then I used a little piece of that plastic straw to really just be able to dig in there and get the pulled pork out. So it's possible I injured my gums using a hard piece of plastic as dental floss. Either way, basically what I'm saying is my tooth hurts and the gum is red and irritated. So I either have a cavity, which needs to get taken care of right away, or I've just really, really irritated my gums, or both, right? I could both have a cavity and I was digging around. So anyways, I do have to go to the dentist, but you'll excuse me if I'm a little discombobulated today. Excuse me if I start wandering. Speaking of wandering, look, Allison wandered out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command. She's like, this is disgusting. Let's go ahead and get started here. Just ignore my grunts of pain as the episode goes. Allison, let's go ahead and let's start us off. Let's give you the keys to the Jason jet ski. Everyone climb on board. We're going to form a human triangle on Allison's back. I got beef jerky dripping out of my mouth right on her head. She's like, stop it. Stop eating beef jerky. Allison, fire up the Jason jet ski. We're leaving behind Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Why don't you jet us all the way out to the veterinary clinic? Allison takes us all the way out to the veterinary clinic. We don't know exactly where this place is, this specific one, but we're standing outside. I'm eating a packet of beef jerky, and I go, every town has a veterinary clinic. Every town, probably, right? I hope so. A bunch of people are like, oh, my dog's sick. I don't know what to do. Most towns in the world have a veterinary clinic. And when your little dog's sick, or your cat has pink eye, or that mouse collection you have, they're not your pets. They're just running free through your house. Whenever your animal gets sick, you can take it to the vet. And the vet sits there and goes, yes, pink eye. This cat has clearly been in contact with human urine. Looking around, is that you? Is that your urine? Have you been peeing in your cat's eye? What? No, not me. Your cat has pink eye. I don't even know, can animals get pink eye? I'm sure they can. But the doctor goes, interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to give him this medicine, and he'll be good in a couple days. Thanks, doc. And you bring in your dog, and his tummy's a little upset, and they take him into the x-ray machine. And sure enough, it's full of mice. It went next door and ate all of the other guy's pets. Wow, he really ate a lot of mice. Here's a laxative. We're going to give him this laxative, and he's just going to poop out little mouse bones. Oh, thanks, doc. You go about this right. Your animal gets sick, you take it to the vet. However, I believe most vets are famous or notorious. Like when I say veterinary clinic, what's the first thing you say? You go, first off, you're probably mispronouncing it. Like, what's a veterinary clinic? Is that for like returning soldiers? Veterinary clinic. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. What's the first thing you think of? Euthanasia. You go, oh, it's the place where they put animals to sleep. That's the first thing I think of. Second, I think of helping animals. With animals, we do have that because at the end of the day, you don't want to see them suffer. Animal has something really, really wrong with them, and it's time to go, buddy. Recently, we did that with Jenny the cat, who I've talked about multiple times on the show, put it in the show notes. However, what we're going to take a look at this story is a very interesting spin on a very popular topic. And let's take a look. We're outside this veterinary clinic. That is how you pronounce it, right? Veterinary. Yeah. Not vet. It's veterinary. Anyways, we're about to meet a young woman. We'll call her Lily. And at the veterinary clinic where she works at, she was told an urban legend. She really goes, it's something that people pass on to each other. Obviously, it can't be true. It's actually kind of ridiculous, Lily says, when she heard it the first time, and then she heard it a couple more times from other employees, and she's like, this is just childhood fairy tales, urban legends, things that People just pass on without ever checking into it. Lily was told by one of her coworkers, she goes, "Hey, hun, I know that this is going to sound super weird, but this clinic is haunted." Huh? What? It was kind of dope, actually, now that you think about it. It's haunted by, like, the ghost of a dire wolf that keeps out non-paying customers. So some poor guy wants to end the suffering of his animal, but the dire wolf won't let him. No, that's horrible. Of course it's not haunted by anything like that. I wonder if they would euthanize your animal for free. If you were, like, homeless and your cat was sick, and you're like, "I think old Bucket here is finally gonna kick himself." What? And he goes, "Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make light of the fact that my cat's sick. I named him Bucket, and I figured I'd make a joke. But anyways, please, can you euthanize this cat?" I wonder if they would do it. I wonder if they'd do it for free. I don't imagine they would say, no, we're not going to euthanize your dog. They'd probably just double bill somebody else or have, like, a donation can out front. Like, "Would you like to help kill homeless people's animals?" They're like, "What? What? No, I don't want to do that." And then they're like, no, let me explain. I couldn't put it all on the card. It's a small jar. I bet you anything there's some sort of fund, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I consider myself an optimistic capitalist. Or I do know that capitalism is just the way it's structured, but I do believe that in the hearts of men, many, many times they will go, "You know what, this is a freebie. We'll kill your animal for free because you obviously can't pay for it, and this dog's suffering." I think any vet who's been trained to help end animal suffering and pain would say, "Yeah, bring Bucket on in. We'll take care of him. An optimistic capitalist. Anyways, Lily's coworker says, "It's the weirdest thing, and I didn't believe it when I first saw it, and you're probably not going to believe it if you ever see it. Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that I thought I'd let you know. When we are getting ready to euthanize an animal, sometimes you're getting the room prepped, you're getting ready to put this animal down. Sometimes you will see something out of the corner of your eye. You'll turn to look, it's not there. But sometimes you'll just see it, a glimpse of it out of the corner of your eye. You'll see a large white dog just sitting there in the corner of the room. What was that? I turned and I saw this big white dog. Yeah, no. Just keep prepping the animal in front of you. We'll talk about that later. Because it would be distracting, right? You wouldn't expect another animal to walk into such a delicate procedure. Sometimes you would see that when you were getting ready to put an animal down. Sometimes, though, and this would be more concerning, you wouldn't be ready to put an animal to sleep. In fact, you would be getting ready to do a procedure on a very sick animal. And it's teetering at this point. If this procedure goes well, everything's going to be okay. But if it doesn't go well, a matter of days, if not moments, before this animal passes. Like, we're really at death's door. But we have a chance of saving it. We have a chance of giving him back a quality of life and a longer life than he would have if we do nothing. But you don't know, right? When you start the procedure, you don't know which way it's going to go. Sometimes then, that animal is on the edge of death, you'll see something out of the corner of your eye. A big white dog. And Lily kind of brushes this story off. A ghost dog visiting other animals before they're put to sleep, or visiting animals as they're teetering on the edge of death. I don't believe it. I don't think I'll ever see this supposed ghost dog. Not Forrest Whitaker. He's not wandering in, cutting people up with a samurai sword. Not that ghost dog. She goes, this ghost dog, this big, white, fluffy dog appearing in the corner. I bet you I'll never see it in all my time working here. And she was right. She worked at a veterinary clinic, and she had been in several situations where she was there while an animal was being euthanized. And she had been there in several situations where an animal was really, really sick. Not one time did she ever see this ghost dog. But she said more than once we would be doing one of these procedures, and the door would open. The door to the room where we're at would open, but no one would walk through it. It get your attention, right? Because you think probably everyone who needs to be in here is in here right now, working on this. And you'd hear that door open and you'd turn around and there's just nothing. And then the door slowly closing. She said there was a time, more than once, where she's working on an animal who's really, really sick. And something would get that animal's attention, be it a dog or a cat or a badger or whatever they're working on that day. An octopus. You'd be working on this animal, and as you're prepping it, right, the animal's still lucid at this point, just suffering and a lot of pain. She goes, you would see that animal react to something and just stare off into a corner in the room. The animal would just lay there and look. Lily would turn around, and there was nothing back there. Nothing that she could see. Super fascinating story. We see this happen in human stories. That's very interesting because you'll have someone, let's say Aunt Gladys died. You had a really close relationship with Aunt Gladys. She dies before you. Now you're dying and you see her walk into the room. It's a very peaceful transition. You're seeing someone that you know and you love and you trust and someone you missed. She's coming to take you home. We covered a story where it involved a little girl, where she didn't have any family members that she knew who passed before her. Obviously, grandparents and ancient ancestors and all of that stuff. But no one who could walk into that room and provide her comfort had died before she did. But she did have a puppy. She had a puppy who died before she did. And that is who she saw. That is who she told her family and the nurses, oh, look at Jojo's back. Jojo, come here. Oh, look at, I'm cuddling with my dog, my little puppy. I missed you. It's sad, right? I mean, it's actually, the girl did end up dying too. Doesn't have a happy ending. But her bond, the only person that she could really see come through was her puppy who had died, because all of her family that she was close to hadn't passed away. Humans seeing animals before they die, humans on their deathbed seeing beloved pets come back, very common. The idea of an animal seeing another animal before they die, a guardian, right? A guardian angel, really, that's kind of what we would talk about here. Or a guide would be a better term for it. A guide into the afterlife. Seeing this dog. And the dog knew when to show up, right? When the situation was dicey or when the situation was done, as in being euthanized. It's interesting because the Lily, she didn't say, listen, when every time the dog showed up and we were doing a procedure, it was guaranteed that animal would have a unsuccessful procedure. It's not like it was a 100% guarantee that if they reacted to this invisible dog in the corner that they would die. Some of them pulled through. Some of them, the dog showed up and goes, oh, you keep on trucking, buddy. Keep on trucking. Gives them a little thumbs up and a wink. And then the white dog fades away. But sometimes the dog was there to guide these animals into the afterlife. Fascinating story. We've covered haunted veterinary clinics before. There was the one where every time they were doing a procedure on an animal, a dog would fart in the nurse's face. I'll definitely put that episode in the show notes. We've covered it before. But if you go back to the super early episodes of Dead Rabbit Radio, this is a topic that I have thought about a lot pre-show. And it's a topic I've thought about during the show, and it's a topic I still think about to this day. And it's one that I go back and forth on. Do animals have souls? I think at this point in my life, I believe that they do. But I mean, it might have been as early as episode 6 or episode 20 or something like that. I said I don't think animals have souls. So even in the past couple years, I've kind of gone back and forth on that. Because that's a big question. I believe that animals can love, and I believe that animals can mourn their own dead and when they lose masters and things like that. But do they have what we call a soul? And I believe that they do. But I also used to believe that they do. And then for a while, I believed that they didn't. And then I believe that they do. It's really a question that I don't know the answer to, which is fair, right? You're like, what? You don't know the answer to everything? Boo this podcast. But it's funny because, yeah, in an early episode, I did say, and I don't think animals have souls. I remember that. And I never went in and edited it out. I wasn't afraid of getting attacked by ghosts of animals because I said that. But yeah, it's a topic. So whenever I come across stories like this, they always do pique my interest because that's a debate that I have within myself. Do animals have souls? And what does that mean if they do? I think it even goes beyond like, well, then are you going to become a vegan? It's so much more complicated than that. If you accept that animals have souls, then like, what does that mean? What does that mean for them, and what does that mean for us? It's not a simple question. I mean, it is, right? Yes or no, you can come up with one. But what's the ramifications if they do? If they don't, can we be even more cruel to them than we already are? But if they do we have to eliminate all of that? And really, at a certain point, does that mean no pets? A lot of big questions, and I don't know the answer to really any of them. But I do love finding stories like this, a messenger, a guide of an animal who has passed before, now is showing up to all other species in this veterinary clinic, being like, come on, buddy, it's not so scary. It's not so scary. This giant dog and this cat's like, I'm in the vet because a giant dog attacked me. It wasn't me, though, man. Don't blame all dogs. Come on, little buddy. I'll take you home. It's an uplifting story. It's a sad story. It's a curious story. I love it. Allison's like, oh, great. I get picked on the dead animal story. Well, hopefully this one will be a little more cheerful. Oh, and I'll say, too, that was posted online by someone going by the name LilyBear032. So that's where I got that story. Allison, let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the world-famous Carpenter Copter. We're leaving behind this veterinary clinic. Why don't you fly us all the way out to Oklahoma? We're flying all the way out to Oklahoma. Specifically, we're headed to El Reno, Oklahoma. It's January 1st, 1981. 1 a.m. We're about to meet this young man. We don't have his real name in the UFO report. They didn't give his name. We're going to call him Marcus. It's 1 a.m. and he's walking across this field, which I'm sure probably describes 90% of Oklahoma. You would go, why is he walking across the field at 1 a.m? It's probably just trying to get home. He didn't specify that, even though I was very specific in the intro. That's exactly what he was doing. I don't know for sure where he's going. Take another look at my notes, but he's walking across the field when he sees something off in the distance, but it's not on the ground. He sees it up in the sky, off in the distance in the night sky. He sees something, and the first thing that pops in his mind that he's looking at is a rocket launch, but it's headed his direction. He's like, oh, this isn't good, right? I know it's 1981. We're always afraid of Soviet missiles headed over here. And as it got closer, he saw these two beams of light illuminate from this vessel. Soviets don't have that. Soviets don't have spotlight technology. He's looking at these two beams of light, and he says it looked like spotlights. And this thing is flying towards me, and I'm able to get a pretty good look at it now. None of this is good, he thinks. Something's definitely off. He goes, I'm looking at this vehicle. It's flying through the sky. There are these two searchlights, and the way they're kind of moving around the ground makes him think they're looking for something. One beam going this way, kind of slowly scanning the field. Another beam over on this side doing the same thing. It's like they're looking for something specific. And that's when the two beams merge into one, turn blue, and shine directly on Marcus. It's such a bright light, it blinds him. Ugh! It's at this point when Marcus starts to hear other people. Now, he's walking through this field, but he's not like in the middle of nowhere. There's a road nearby, and he hears as his vision's slowly starting to recover. He's not permanently blind. It was just like a bright light. He hears cars stopping and people getting out and gasping. Oh my God, what is that? Dude, look, what is going on? And he now has regained his vision. He can see people who had been driving down this road stopping and gawking at this thing. He looks up again, This was no mere rocket, not even a rocket equipped with searchlights. What he clearly sees that it is now, it's a UFO. Now that it's close enough to him, it wasn't some stereotypical rocket a kid might draw or something that would be launched from Cape Canaveral. He says it was a circular vehicle. It was flying over the area. We all saw it. But this story may be more Roswell than the Phoenix Lights, because now that Marcus has a good view of this thing, he can tell it's been damaged. He says it's flying overhead and it was a circular shaped UFO, but it looked like a cookie that someone had taken a big bite out of. He said the whole back of the craft looked like it had been blown out. This wasn't a UFO searching for something other than a place to land. This UFO was going down. And you go, well, maybe it's just a cool design, right? Maybe they wanted to make it look more like a boomerang. Maybe they wanted it to look like the back was blowing out. Pieces of it were falling off. Where the back was gone, you could see these white flakes kind of falling out, and they would flitter down against the night sky, but before they hit the ground, they would just disappear. And this ship, despite the fact that it looked like a rocket launch from a distance, it's actually flying very slowly over this crowd of people, which is probably good advice if your UFO is about to crash. You're not going to be like, punch it, Chewie. You know, you're trying to look for a place to land. Probably a place that doesn't have a bunch of people around. Now, Oklahoma at 1 a.m, I don't know a lot about Oklahoma. I know the musical, and I know how to spell it. That's pretty much the two things I know about Oklahoma. You probably figured you could land at a farm somewhere out in the middle of America and, you know, get out, look at the damage to your UFO, drink some Gatorade if you're low on electrolytes from screaming the whole time, we're gonna die, and come up with a plan B of how you're gonna get off this rock. That might have been part of the thing. They go, we'll just land it somewhere in Oklahoma and we'll figure out what to do next. But there's a bunch of people out. I mean, a bunch of people for Oklahoma at 1 a.m. It wasn't like the entire town came out, but people who were driving in that area did stop their car. And they were looking at this thing. Now, it's flying so slowly that Marcus got a good look at this thing. And he said along the ship, there seemed to be these portholes, these windows running along the length of this vessel. And it's low enough and slow enough that he can look in through the windows as it's flying by. What he sees in there, it's so interesting. This is actually kind of dope. Not for them, but for us telling the story and for Marcus. He goes, I'm looking in the windows and what I see is the room, like all of them, right? He's looking at all these portholes. It would light up red and then go away, like the light would. So he'd see a red light kind of flash and then turn off, and then a red light flash and turn off, and a red light flash and turn off. And he's seeing it in all these different porthole windows, and what he thinks it is emergency lights. Like you would see in any human vessel. Well, at least in the movies, right? You have those red flashing lights. Alert! Alert! Crashing in 4... The robot voice is like, I don't know. I'm kind of brain damaged right now. 4 seconds, 4 minutes, 4 years, I don't know. Crash in 4. Klaxons. He doesn't hear anything. But imagine if you were walking by a building. Imagine you're walking by a window and you saw red emergency lights turning on and off inside. You're just like, I don't need to put my mail in the mailbox today. I think I'll be good. They can wait till tomorrow. You just keep on walking. He sees what he thinks are emergency lights going on and off. And he sees people running around on board. He doesn't say they're gray aliens. People is how he describes them. And he said they were running around back and forth. It's not like they were all headed in one direction. They were panicked, like anyone would be, in a crashing vessel. He goes, they weren't all moving in one direction. You could see them running around back and forth. Until one of them is running by one of these port windows and turns and looks out the window and sees Marcus on the ground staring up at the UFO. A person in this crashing UFO is now staring at Marcus. Marcus is looking up at him. And Marcus just puts his hand up and waves. Waves to the guy on the UFO. The guy in the UFO is looking down at Marcus, and he waves back. These red emergency lights flashing in the background. Marcus is just looking at this dude in this presumably doomed vessel. It's not crashing like immediately right in front of them. It's just at a low cruising speed, and who knows, again, how long it's able to maintain itself in the air. Marcus is looking at the guy's looking at him. They're both waving at each other. What else can Marcus do? It's almost like a nervous tick, right? People are still running back and forth on this vessel until another person runs by that porthole window that the waver is standing at. He sees someone else run by that porthole window, stop, look at his comrade on the ship, realize that this guy is waving at something, looks out the porthole and sees Marcus standing there waving back. The guy who was just running by grabs his crewmate and drags him away from the porthole off to wherever in the ship. A disaster's happening. This dude is just waving, bro. We gotta get off this ship, man. Hey, aren't you the guy who has the command codes? Oh, yeah, no, so I was waving. I was just being polite. Get over here. Marcus sees this dude get dragged away. Marcus is just, his heart breaks. He's like, oh, man. He's standing there, and this UFO is flying overhead. All these people are watching this go on. The vehicle continued past the crowd of onlookers. It continues off into the distance. And that's when Marcus sees 7 discs, each emitting a multicolored light, like an alternating multicolored light on each one. Red, blue, green, yellow, red, blue, green, yellow. They're all flashing these different colors back and forth. He sees 7 discs shoot out of the UFO. They shoot out these 7 discs and they start heading southeast. Marcus feels like what those were some sort of escape pods. The main vessel itself begins to change color, starts to fly southeast itself when it suddenly splits into 3 different sections and disappears from sight. This story was reported to the National UFO Research Council, Norfolk. That's probably not how you say it. That's probably not how you say it. New Fork. They're one of the big, if not the big, UFO research organizations in the United States, civilian run at least. Fascinating story. It's fascinating on a billion different levels. Who wouldn't want to see this? Right? Jason, last week you talked about a guy who encountered 3 gray aliens and has tried killing himself multiple times since. And you said how dangerous it would be. That's true. But this would still be pretty cool to see. Right? A crashing UFO. Just on the face of it, right? And you go, was it even alien? Were these Pleiadians who are aliens that look like humans? They're called the Nordics. That's another name for them. They're aliens that are white-skinned with pale features like blonde hair, pale blue eyes, things like that. Were they Nordic aliens in this crashing ship? Possibly. But what's interesting is, what if they weren't aliens at all? What if they were humans on the ship? Did we make it? Was this a craft that was constructed by our government or governments around the world, and it was a disastrous test flight? Was it an uprising of abducted humans escaping from alien captivity? I mean, we don't know. There's so many questions with this story. The fact that he doesn't ever say, I saw aliens on there. A Pleiadian, a Nordic alien, other than their height and their pale features, you wouldn't really pick them out as being an alien. But outside of Northern Europe, you probably would describe them as they kind of look like they're from Sweden. It's such a distinct look. Their height and their skin color. I mean, there are a lot of people who aren't from Sweden who have blonde hair and are tall and pale, but not on UFOs, right? If you saw a bunch of people running around on a UFO and they were of mixed height, mixed ethnicity, mixed ages, you would go, there was a bunch of people on there. If they were all 25 years old, they were all 6'4", they all had blonde hair, you're like, ooh, look at me, I'm gonna go date all these aliens. You're setting your Tinder to intergalactic. You would probably say that. You would go, it was really weird. I was looking up and I saw these blonde-haired guys running around on this. Like Jason Warren, maybe he just wasn't paying attention to the hair color. It wasn't crashing UFO. I was like, oh, how tall was he? Was he a dreamboat? Were they humans who were in captivity? Was it a human-based vessel? Is there a human-based alien race out there? Are these not necessarily UFO travelers? Or are we talking interdimensional? Or are we talking time travelers? It's such an evocative story. It's so interesting to have this type of encounter where there are no clear-cut answers. Really, the fact that it's a flying vessel and it's in the shape of like a disc, they say that it looks... What's interesting, he doesn't actually come out and say, I was looking over at my notes as I was telling the story, he doesn't 100% say it looked like a disc. He said it looked like a cookie with a bite taken out of it. Which technically you could have he could have been a granola bar, but I guess then he would have said, oh, it was like a granola bar with a bite taken out of it. Was it rectangular? You can have other shapes that look like they were a bite taken out of it. When I was telling this story, I looked over at my notes and I go, well, he doesn't actually say it's a circle. He just said it looked like a cookie with a bite taken out of it. And we've covered, I mean, again, like there's so many things we can go with this. We covered a story a long time ago about another UFO that had a bite taken out of it. And that was being eaten in front of the witnesses, that was being eaten by another UFO. I'll put that episode in the show notes. The phenomenon is so fantastic. It is one of the things with ghost stories, every so often we get a story that kind of defies explanation. With UFO stories, most of them defy explanation, which is something I really find fascinating about it. You do have to dig, because I not all stories, a lot of stories are kind of just scary, which is cool, alien abductions, stuff. You're like, yeah, Jason, human suffering, fantastic content for the show. But you find very often stories like this that just don't fit any idea of what we think of UFOs. I mean, really anything. The only thing that makes a story a UFO story is that it was flying. So what was this? And again, part of me thinks that this may not have even been what Marcus saw. Because it is so surreal. It could have been some other event, and this is the way his brain played it out. The reason why I'm not going down that route, because we do see that, right? And that's why people undergo hypnotic regression, because they go, I don't remember this night, or something doesn't make sense, and they get hypnotized, and then they can see what actually happened. The reason why I'm a little less hesitant to say, even though this is so full of weird imagery, is that this was investigated by the National UFO Research Council. So they put their efforts into verifying all of this stuff. Like, I'm trusting that the source material... I got it from thingaboutitdocs.com, which is an amazing UFO repository online. They got it from the Norfolk. So I know that they put in a good amount of groundwork before publishing their stuff. So I'm taking the faith on that. They may have suggested hypnotic regression. I don't know. Fascinating story, though. Absolutely fascinating story, just because of the imagery itself. We've been covering a lot of UFO crashes on the show recently, and it's not like I even planned it that way. I've just found a lot of stories recently that involve that. But again, that's a type of story that I love, the idea of castaways trapped on Earth. And what happened to these guys? What happened to these guys? Let's wrap it up like that. We can have all these questions. Where did they come from? If they're aliens that look like humans and they took all these escape pods and landed somewhere in 1981, that's a long enough time to stay on Earth. They look like humans. They act like humans. They wave. They panic. they are alerted by red lights. 1981, that's long enough to not only say, there's no way we're getting off this planet. Our vehicle blew up. Who designed it so it would disintegrate as it was falling apart? We can't even get the old pieces and put it back together. That's long enough to integrate into a society, have a family, have grandkids, working on great-grandkids, honestly. I mean, 1981, if you crash landed in 1981, you could easily have 3 or 4 generations you've intermixed with the natives. And let's say this ship, I'm just pulling this number out of my butt, but let's say this ship had a crew of 50. That's 50 different families somewhere in Midwest United States that may have alien blood in them, which at this point could be close to 500 people as the families keep going out and intermingling. I wouldn't say that's the best case scenario. The best case scenario is these were humans on Earth testing a vehicle. It didn't work. They took the escape pods back to DC and they're like, yeah, sorry, that design didn't work. Something took a big bite out of us. They're like, what? And they're like, yeah, apparently there's UFOs. They need other UFOs. We didn't know that. I guess I'll just go back to my normal job being a scientist. You have that it was human built and they just took escape pods and continue to live their life. You have the idea that these are aliens who look like humans and they interbred with humans of planet Earth. Then you have to kind of think about the nightmare scenarios, and one of those would be time travelers. Imagine coming from a future that's so advanced you could build a vehicle like this, and it crashes in 1981. I mean, I love the 80s personally. I grew up in the 80s. I think it was a fantastic time to be a kid, and the 90s was a fantastic time to be an adult. But I didn't come from an age of gravityless propulsion and a porthole technology. I don't have portholes on my car. I just have those dumb windows. These guys had portholes. Flying vehicles, time travel, right? Let's not glaze over that. Coming from a society that has the ability to time travel and then being stuck, your machine is done. You're lucky you were able to survive the disintegration of it. Now you're stuck in 1981. You'll never make it all the way back to when you left. It's too distant. So you make your best life in 1981 Oklahoma, which again would be humans intermingling and breeding with other humans. You wouldn't have any sort of weird half human, half alien, but you would have people who were from 600 years in the future trying to learn to be assimilated into 1981 America. Which I think actually they did it. Now that I think about it, that's a Disney Channel show. That's a Disney Channel show called Phil of the Future. Starring the kid from one of those, I think he was like on Wizards of Waverly Place. It wasn't one of the brothers. It was just some dude. And then Michaela from, I think she was on the Jonas Brothers show. I think she was in Phil of the Future. Jason, wow, okay. Maybe you should be locked in a UFO and sent to a time where we don't have to hear you talk about Disney Channel shows. Fascinating stuff. I love the idea of Castaways, and just so evocative. The story of a crashing UFO in and of itself is fascinating to me, but that idea of the wave. Not only the wave, but then the other crewmate being like, dude, what the hell are you doing? We're in a crashing vehicle. Let's go. All that stuff. And here's the thing. It's so human. That whole moment, that whole interaction is so human. That's what really makes me wonder if they are aliens. Like, even now I'm questioning it, and I'll never know. We'll never know. Marcus doesn't know. The only people who do know took those escape pods. Those 7 escape pods. I'm sure there's more than 7 people. I imagine them big pods. But I don't know why I think that. I guess because he saw a bunch of people running around on the ship. But the only people who know what really happened were the people who survived that crash. And what happened to them, we don't know. Whether it was people from a far distant future, whether it was fellow humans from an advanced alternate reality, maybe even it was an alien. A shared wave, a simple moment of, hello. Turned this sci-fi story into one that I think we can all really relate to. Whatever side of the porthole you happen to be standing on. A simple moment. A simple gesture Just shows that no matter where you come from or what species you claim as your own, maybe we all do have a soul. What? I guess that's a way to end an episode. Yeah, I just thought of that, right? If these two species have souls, us and them, then maybe the dog does too. Maybe, right? Or maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. I think they do. But, sometimes, like, which ones don't have souls? Grasshoppers? Do they have souls? I don't know. A grasshopper never waved at me from a crashing UFO. That's my new litmus test. Whether or not something has a soul. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today.